It's time now to load Microsoft Access 2007 and get acquainted with our new environment. Before we can start creating tables and queries, reports and forms and so on, we need to be comfortable in our new environment. And if you're brand new to version 2007 of Microsoft Access, you'll see some changes. Now I'm using Windows Vista, so when I come down to the bottom left-hand corner, my Start button looks like this. In Windows XP, the Start button is in the same location, but it has the word Start on it. We're going to give that a click. Now in Vista, I get a list of recently used applications. You can see them all listed here. One of them happens to be Microsoft Access 2007. So if I was to click this, I would launch the application. But I'm going to pretend that's not there. The very first time you use Access, it will not be on this list. So down at the bottom here where it says Start Search, I can click and start typing in the word Access. And look what happens. I just typed ACC and you can see what's happening. Microsoft Access shows up right at the top. Perfect. I can launch it from here. I've got some other programs listed here that either have Access in the name or are related to Access. Then I've got files as well down below with Access in the name or Access files. Kind of neat. Makes it really easy to find your applications and launch them. Now let's just pretend we don't have Windows Vista. We're working in XP. We come down to the Start button. Just like XP and Vista, we have all programs. I can just hover over that without clicking it to get a list of all of my options. Now at the top of this list, and I'm going to scroll up, you can see actual applications. These are actual programs I can launch right from here. As I scroll a little further down, I'm going to see the one I'm looking for, which is Microsoft Office. Clicking Microsoft Office is going to expand that to show me all of the applications in that folder. And right at the top is Microsoft Access 2007. So I'm going to give that a click. Alright, so we're into Microsoft Access now, and you will be greeted with this Getting Started screen that you see in front of you here. But before we go into detail in the Getting Started screen, I want to get you familiar with your environment here. So going up to the very top left corner, you'll see I've got the Office button. And the Office button is very familiar to people who are accustomed to using the File menu in previous versions. When I click the Office button, you'll see some file-related commands like New, Open. There's some Save buttons, Print, Manage, Email, Publish, and there's where I go to close a database once I've got one open. Right now, many of these buttons are not accessible because I don't have anything open to work with yet. I also have a list of recently used documents, which happen to be databases in this case. You can see them listed here. And I can also access, no pun intended, my Access options down here by clicking the Access Options button. We'll talk about that later as well. Here's another way to exit Access if I'm done with it. I'm not going to select anything from here, so I'm going to click outside the menu to disable it and go back up to the top left corner because we've got something here called the Quick Access Toolbar. This is new to Office 2007. The Quick Access Toolbar is going to have a number of commands that you use most often. Now, in this case, you can see I've got a Save, Undo, and Redo button showing up here by default, but we can totally customize this, and we will do that a little bit later on. So we'll get all of the commands that you're accustomed to using on a regular basis or most frequently, and we'll put them up here. Now across the title bar where we see Microsoft Access, on the right hand side we've got some buttons that should look familiar to you. The Minimize button, so if we want to keep Access running and just minimize it, that throws it down on our taskbar. If I come back down to the bottom of my screen, it's still running. I can give it a click to resume where I left off. Over here, because Access currently fills my entire screen, it's maximized. This is a Restore Down button. When I click it, you can see that the window is restored down to a default size. Now this size might not be the best size to work in, so we can maximize now. The middle button is a Maximize button to fill the entire screen. That's how I like to work personally. The Close button is in the top right corner. It's red. This will close the application, the same as going to the Office button and choosing to exit Access. Right below that is our Help button. So anytime you see this little circle with a question mark inside, that's your Help button. And F1 on the keyboard is the shortcut. So we can access Microsoft Office Help as well as Microsoft Office Access Help and all of the help that appears online as well if you're connected to the internet. All right, in the middle section here is our getting started area. We're going to talk about that in the next lesson in great detail. So let's move down to the bottom where we have our status bar. Status bar gives you information as you work on the various objects in Microsoft Access. And right now you'll see that our status is ready. So it's very important that we look down here when we're working on certain portions of Microsoft Access, because we'll get messages down here telling us whether or not we're allowed to save something or move on. Always check down on the status bar to get the latest status. Alright, so those are the basics of our environment. In the next lesson, we're going to go into great detail talking about this getting started screen you see in front of you here.